come forward to the mic and do their opening statements. Right now, I believe it's close enough to 7 o'clock, and we are going to get started. And we are going to ask Steve Bartley to be our first speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please respect our speakers, and hopefully we have a very successful and informative evening. Thank you.
I've never been first in my life. Hello, I'm Steve Bartley. My wife Kim and I have raised 4 lovely children, Michael, Nicole, Amanda, and Stephanie, on the 8th Concession South in the former Sydenham Township. Kim and I operated a very successful grocery store for many, many years. Now, in my opinion, the biggest problem with the municipality of Meaford was in years gone by, there was too many years with 0 tax increases. And with that, we got behind because there was no money spent on infrastructure, and with inflation running at 1.5% to 2%, we were going backwards. That money compounded would have been millions of dollars. That money is lost forever. So now we have to play catch up. We come up with a several hundred-page strategic plan as a guiding document for the municipality to move forward where we have a safe, affordable, strong place to live. Also to provide leadership and effective governance in the delivery of quality, sustainable services. Now, like I said, each year with inflation at 1.5% to 2%, but with cuts, we kept the tax increases to that 1.5% to 2%, and still put another $4 million towards infrastructure. Though the roads are not perfect, I believe we have a plan to get them there now. But the engineers are telling us that if we don't spend $10 million in the near future, our bridges and culverts are going to have to close. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario are telling us as Ontario-wide, we're $5 billion short each year on infrastructure. I believe this municipality is at a level now of taxation saturation, and we cannot do it alone. Can we make more cuts? Maybe. But my focus is going to be on getting higher governments to help us. I have started and intend on escalating help from the provincial government. The present government knows that we are in trouble. I have met with the Minister of Infrastructure, the Minister of Economic Development, and the Attorney General, and I am going to hold them to their promise. They said help is on the way. So I really look forward to the next 4 years. Please do not hesitate to contact me anytime. I'm there for you. Thank you.
Very good, thanks, Steve. Our next speaker is Karen Kane.
Hello, my name is Karen Kane. I am a wife, a mother, an active volunteer, and an experienced businesswoman. I ran a large commercial gallery in Calgary and have worked in administration and land development. I owned and operated the Earth Harvest Cafe in downtown Meaford for 13 years. I'm currently the secretary and treasurer at my church, but I also sing in the worship team. And I have a home-based knitwear business. My husband, Jim McPherson, and I have 2 sons, 14 and 10. Now, I sort of have a stock speech I open with about why I'm running that talks about accountability and affordability, and now the Parks bylaw, which incidentally is a bylaw. Don't let council members tell you otherwise. But today I had someone say something very nice to me. He said, I am always fair. That my husband and I are fair in all our dealings, that we live by that, and that I should tell people that. So that's what I'm going to do. You see, I was talking about coming here and how nervous I was, and about the fact that I'm from town and more aware of town issues, and about how unfairly the municipality treats the rural areas. Because it's true, right? Folks out here are basically ignored. I could live a year off of what some of you are paying in taxes, but apparently that's not enough to get roads fixed or plowed, bridges repaired, or keep halls open. Tonight, I am standing in an area that is sorely neglected in front of people who have not been treated fairly. And I want you to know that I will treat you fairly. Crazy thing is that those of us in town aren't benefiting from all the spending in town. We are not served by an overstuffed cultural center or numerous shiny red trucks. I personally resent the always empty bus that drives by my house countless times in the morning, clearly servicing nobody. I am livid every time I pass a derelict grocery store purchased for far too much to build a library larger than recommended without any attempt at grants. So I think that fair to rural becomes fair to urban because our money is being misspent. Our taxes are high and town water and sewer rates are high. The halls and centers that we built and own are priced too high for us to rent. And yet as we pay more, we receive less to the point we have to pay extra for garbage pickup, can no longer expect our roads to be fixed or plowed, and are being told that our public spaces are off limits to us for half the year. None of this makes sense, none of this serves us, and none of this is fair. I am running to bring heart back to council. It's time we started thinking about the citizens of the municipality, all of the citizens, and it's time to start managing our money fairly. I promise to do a thorough line-by-line review of municipal spending and start putting our money into the areas it belongs, serving us, serving you. Folks aren't asking for much here, just appropriate road maintenance. We should be providing it. I promise that I will serve and represent the citizens of all our municipality, and I will serve them fairly. Thank you. Vote Karen Kay for council.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Harley Greenfield, and I'm running for a councillor position in the municipality of Meaford. I've been a resident of St. Vincent Township all my life, and I'm proud to say that I am rural-oriented. Bognor, whether it be downtown, upper or lower, or east or west, represents the very heartland of this municipality. First, let me talk about our rural area and some of its assets and liabilities. The importance of our volunteers is undeniable, and none are more significant than those who day to day oversee the operation of our rural community centers. Now, I was going to give thanks to the Bognor Hall Board, but since I'm not supposed to, I'm going to give thanks to all three of our rural hall boards, Bognor, Riverside, and Woodford. Hopefully that's acceptable. Without these energetic individuals, such as those who comprise the Bognor Hall Board, we would not be here tonight. This building may very well be closed. Strategically important are the roads and bridges in our rural areas. These pieces of infrastructure supply the lifeline of our rural transportation, economy, and socializing. One of our nearby roads has been closed now for nearly 3 years. 2 80-year-old bridges have been condemned. I maintain that one of the first actions the new council must take is to decide the future of these bridges. My intent is to have the bridges removed and replaced with new structures. Let's get this done, and let's get the town line deviation once again open for traffic. Perhaps later in the evening we'll have more time to discuss other topics such as communication and police services and fire services. With your support, I will endeavor to move forward on road projects and other rural projects that come before council. Your vote for Harley Greenfield will help to ensure we progress in all areas. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I've been listening to the ratepayers throughout the municipality, and what I've heard is that there is a disconnect between what our council says its policies are and the policies that they have enacted. They set out to control a few rowdies and effectively shut down our parks for 6 months of the year. When cost recovery, which is a good thing, shuts down local groups and organizations from our tax-supported facilities, that's a bad thing. And this is why I differ from most of the candidates on the issue of hiring a chief administrative officer. A CAO will bring our annual payroll to about $7.5 million, and it will only compound the disconnect. The buck has to stop with council itself. I would take the savings on a CAO and get an OPP contract to give us some say in policing our municipality, and I can assure you there'd be lots of money left over. But I want to tell you, I'm not running because I think everything is broken in Meaford or that we have the wrong staff. I'm running because the future has arrived and we're just not quite ready. I want Meaford to remain a community for all ages and stages, a good place to raise a family with schools, hospital, jobs, affordable housing, long-term care. We don't want to be Collingwood North. The new council is going to have to act promptly and decisively, reaching out to our Chamber of Commerce, the business improvement area, and all stakeholders to build business confidence and public consensus. Now, the problem for you people as Municipality of Meaford electors is that you need to vote strategically for the right combination of incumbents and newcomers who will be able to work together to repair overreaching bylaws just as much as to repair our roads and bridges. With a balance of business sense and common sense, we can enable the municipality of Meaford to prosper without losing all the things that make it so wonderful. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tony Bell. I'm asking for your vote to send me back to council as a second term. During my first term, I demonstrated by my actions that if you want to talk to me, I accommodate you. If you want me to go and see for myself what you are telling me, I go, no matter where, rural or urban. I do this because I know that you want to be heard. And I know that in order for myself to feel what you are telling me, I need to see your issue. Over the past 4 years, I have been a strong voice on council. I do my homework. I prepare myself in order to speak up. I have been and will continue to be keen on my priorities, which you have confirmed to me over and over again. Fix our roads, tend to our bridges, purchase the right equipment, and do this while keeping our tax increases reasonable and always seeking out upper-level government funding. I believe in a balanced approach to governing. I use common sense and my practical business background. I brought forward a change in our municipality by trying to unify us once and for all from having 3 fractured areas, by bringing forward a new chain of office and a brand new corporate seal. I am not afraid to stand alone, and I have done this on several occasions. Back in February of this year, I brought forward a notice of motion to enhance the winter road maintenance to exceed the provincial minimum standards. And this was adopted on Monday, September the 24th of this year. And folks, it will make a difference. In the next term, the service levels of policing, our fire department, the build of the Meaford Library are going to come before us for decisions. Developers want to build in our municipality, and our official plan must be able to accommodate controlled growth. Thank you for your time tonight. Please re-elect me, Tony Bell, a councillor in the great municipality of Meaford. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Our next speaker is Paula Vickers.
Good evening. My name is Paula Vickers, and I would like your support in the upcoming election in the municipality of Meaford. I have lived in Meaford at the corner of Gravy Road 7 and Frogs Hollow Side Road for my entire life, where we operate our dairy farm with my wife Karen and our 4 children. I have decided to run in this election because I feel it's a great time to make a difference in our community. We need a well-run municipality that takes the needs and desires of its people and turns them into action while keeping fiscal responsibility in mind. If elected, I would like to help the council set the direction for the municipality, as this is one of their main purposes of the elected officials. Once we have set the direction, we would allow the staff to put the plan into action. We have many great assets in Meaford, and we need to use them in a way that helps strengthen our ability to make Meaford an inviting and welcoming area. I feel a way to make Meaford a stronger and closer community is by improving and using our community buildings like this one here in Bognor to their full potential. I want the town hall, the arena, the parks, and our new library all to have meaning in the area and be something our community can be proud of. I want our community not to be a group of people living in the same area, but to form a bond that lets us all thrive together. My name is Paula Vickers, and I am proud to call Meaford my home. Please support me for Meaford Council. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diane McIntyre, and I'm running for the position of councillor. I've lived in the area since 2001. My husband and I have enjoyed raising our children here, and we've made Annan our home. I hadn't anticipated running for council until several years ago when the potholes on my road became big enough for young children to play in. I began wondering where our tax money was being spent as I saw municipal workers spread coal patch on our decrepit road. This sparked my interest in municipal politics, and now here I am running for council. With my degree in social development studies and having raised 3 children, I know the importance of community, and I plan on working to preserve the way of life that we enjoy here in the municipality of Meaford. There has been much discussion about economic development during the all candidates meeting over the last few weeks. Although I would agree the municipality needs to do what it can with respect to economic development, I believe that we need to recognize that agribusiness is the backbone of the economy that built and sustains this municipality. Over the last 4 years, we have seen businesses close in the town of Meaford, while at the same time there have been hundreds of acres of new orchards planted, as well as new wineries and cideries opening. This is just further evidence of the strength and resilience of our diversifying agricultural sector. While canvassing, I have talked with many farmers, and when I ask them about what they think is important, I routinely hear roads and bridges. I believe that we need to listen to our farmers and prioritize investment in infrastructure to sustain the economic engine that drives the economy in our municipality. Another issue that concerns me is the new library. Although I agree that our library is in need of replacement, I believe that our community would be better served by having a taxable enterprise on that prime piece of real estate. I'm not certain that a standalone library is required. I've often wondered why council and staff have not pursued a public-private partnership for the library. I believe a 5-story building put on the purchase site with upper floors set aside for, say, seniors' apartments, and the ground floor being dedicated to the library would serve the town of Meaford well. I believe innovative solutions such as this would lead to fiscally responsible development and at the same time solve the library issue while minimizing the impact on current ratepayers. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome everyone. My name is Rob Urig and I'm pleased to be running for the position of councillor for the municipality of Meaford. I grew up on an orchard and 22 side road, so I understand how our rural residents can sometimes feel like many council directives are urban-centric. I was, like many others, forced to leave after my education, but I was fortunate enough to find employment about a year ago here, and I'm currently employed as the sales and marketing manager of a company that specializes in providing high-speed internet to rural Meaford and Blue Mountain regions. As a result, I've had the opportunity to visit many of our rural neighbors over the past 10 months, and I'm pleased to say we are experiencing growth in our community. In 2017, Stats Canada released a study indicating that from 2011 to 2016, farms nationwide decreased by 5.9%, while Grey County gained 2.5%. The study also showed the median age of farmers continues to rise across the country and now stands at 55, both in Grey County and nationwide. In contrast to that trend, Grey added young farmers at more than double the national rate, with a 20% increase in farmers under 35 years old. Growing up, farms were farms, orchards were orchards, but our rural landscape is changing drastically. Meaford is now on the radar of many different sectors. Tourism is growing as more hikers, campers, skiers, and cyclists discover our natural resources. Cideries, wineries, and breweries are joining our farmers and apple growers. And just as importantly, I've had the pleasure of meeting artists, social media specialists, website designers, travel and tourism operators, designers, independent filmmakers, engineers, corporate trainers, and people from many other vocations who have chosen to make Meaford their home office. These successes tend to go unnoticed because they aren't as visible as our urban initiatives. But the good news is innovative individuals are choosing Meaford as the base for their businesses. And it's this entrepreneurial spirit that needs to be encouraged. It's my opinion that small businesses, urban and rural, need to be cultivated and supported. And we need to make sure there are equal initiatives and opportunities for everyone. Frankly, the best thing government can do is get out of the way of private enterprise. Yes, it needs to manage costs with a responsible budget, encourage continued growth by attracting investment, ensure that the infrastructure is properly maintained, and address environmental and conservation concerns. But at the end of the day, council cannot create businesses, but it does need to make sure all of Meaford is open and ready for business. It needs to work with the BIA, the chamber, the community groups, the business owners, and the residents to continue to educate the developers, entrepreneurs, and small business owners that our municipality is a desired destination and encourage them to invest in Meaford. Ultimately, it is this type of growth that will help increase our business tax base and relieve some of the burden on our residential taxpayers. Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my adopted hometown of Bognor. Although I was born in Toronto, Bognor has been my chosen home for over 30 years. Since moving here, I've been on municipal councils for 13 years. In the last 4 years, I have served as the chair of the Committee of Adjustment. In my work, I have 3 guiding principles. 1, fact-based information will be the bedrock of my decisions. What does that mean exactly? If I take an example of our library services, I fought to continue our agreement with the Owen Sound North Bray Union Public Library, not because I don't like the Meaford Public Library, but because the children who live in the former township of Sydenham go to school in Owen Sound, so they should be able to use the library in Owen Sound. That's fact. 2, the entire municipality will be taken into consideration for all matters. Once again, if I may use an example, Rogers TV. Rogers has cable in urban Meaford and some parts of rural Meaford. The cost to put cable in the entire municipality would be prohibitive. Tonight, they are making a first step in taping this meeting. In the same way, the municipality cannot afford to provide the same services throughout the community. The council has to be open to listen and act on meaningful ways to help each part of this municipality. 3, partnerships with all levels of government and surrounding communities will be beneficial to Meaford. I could use our road networks as an example. There are municipal roads, county roads, and provincial roads. The same product, but the services had to be negotiated and have to be seamless to be effective. We must work with other levels of government and surrounding municipalities to provide services in a seamless but cost-effective manner. Another example of this would be our partnerships with the Intertownship Fire Department and the Meaford Fire Department. I promise to do my best to work with you to serve the entire municipality. Thank you.
Caught me by surprise. Good evening, my name is Francis Richardson and I am running for council for the municipality of Meaford. I'm a longtime resident, multi-generation resident of St. Vincent and the town of Meaford. I love my community. It was a wonderful place to grow up. As somebody else said, like when you get through school, you've got to go find a job somewhere else. In a lot of cases, I did that for 40 years in education. But I was able to return to my community in 1999, become involved in community service in the library area, and then I was able to become involved in community service at the council area. From 2003 to 2014, I was on this council. I have been here talking with you people before, and the issues are essentially the same as they were then. Back at that time, we were in a hole as far as our finances and reserves were concerned. Your council during those 11 years was able to put together a sound financial basis to be able to have the reserves to be able to do some of the work that is now being done. I'm delighted with that and what we were able to do then. I would like to come back on council again and make sure that we continue what has happened in the last 4 years. It has still continued to be a good, sound financial basis. There are only 2 issues involved in any of our situations, whether it is municipal, whether it is family, or whether it is business. That is, what does it cost and what are we going to get? And that we hear every single time and every single person up here. We need the services. We need good services in our community. We need good roads. We need good infrastructure. But we can't afford to pay the huge taxes or the huge costs that would be necessary to repair it all at once. If I get back on council, I'm going to make sure that the province and the federal government continue to provide the grants that we're going to need to provide the services that you need, that we need to have in our community. Businesses, we need more business, not just in the urban area, but we need it in the rural areas as well. Someone else talked about what is happening with wineries and cideries and also with the apple business in our community. We will work very hard to make sure that that continues to grow. It is starting. It is happening. I want to become part of that. I would love to be able to get back on council and do that community service with you people again. Thank you.
Looks like best for last, right? My name is Amy Foster. I'm not a politician. I live with my husband Richard and 2 young daughters on a small farm in Woodford. I'm an extremely active community volunteer, and I know the importance of making sure people feel that their point of view is respected. I'm not a present councillor in your local government. I don't know all the reasons behind the decisions that have been made over the past 4 years. I'm a taxpayer, like you. I am part of this community, like you. I want Meaford to be a healthy and affordable place to live for everyone. I'm not going to quote numbers, statistics, or tell you that I've created or executed fantastic programs, or that I've made Meaford problem-free over the past 4 years. What I do know is that every voice in this room, in this municipality, are of equal importance and deserve to be heard. I fear higher taxes. I fear diminishing services, and I need you to support me. Help me find solutions that can keep our community prosperous. These areas worry me. Our roads. This includes improvements, winter maintenance, transit, and electric vehicle infrastructure. Good roads influence our community's success for employment, future expansion, and a more varied tax base. Poor roads are a safety risk, a deterrent for future employers. They cause difficulty for our farmers, and they are a deterrent to tourism. Our taxes. We must increase our tax base to give some relief to the average homeowner and renter. There must be the dollars for needed services, maintenance, and future plans. In a healthy community, there is a tax burden balance between business, farm, and home. It is a struggle right now for our homeowners, farmers, and small business. Meaford must strive to expand the commercial and industrial base. Partnerships. By creating partnerships with neighboring communities and the county, Meaford has an opportunity to improve efficiency and reduce cost. I recall several years ago when 3 municipalities held a joint meeting at Woodford Hall to explore making combined purchases such as winter road salt. This type of cooperation should be encouraged, explored, and expanded. If we can't reasonably raise more money from taxes, if we don't have an expanded industrial base, then the most logical solution will be to maximize the effect of the dollars that we do have. I'm employed as a registered psychotherapist. It is my responsibility and commitment to recognize problems harmful to people's well-being and do my best to help them find a workable solution. I believe my particular skills suit me well to be a councillor for the municipality of Meaford. This is my home and my children's future. I promise I will do my best to make sure you are heard before decisions are made. If you give me your vote, you will have a say. Vote Amy Foster.
Politicians that can always beat the bell, but this is amazing. There wasn't too many that made it to the final bell. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to open the floor to questions from the general public. Please come to the mic, state your questions, address it to a particular person or a group, and hopefully we can get some good answers. Thank you very much.
Frogs Hollow, so I get to appreciate the brilliance of coal patch and all many attribute functions and forms. My question, however, is to the existing councils who have been in the last council, and I would like you to say how you voted on the parks closure issue and why you voted that way. Viewing the fact that tourism is second or third biggest economic factor in this municipality, we should shut down the facilities for half a year. Why is the same with the existing council? Please explain how they voted and why they voted that way.
Thank you for the question. I knew that one was going to come sooner or later, but being an acquaintance, I voted in favor of the bylaw that we put in place, as did all of our council members. There's there's quite a bit of long history in the preamble to this bylaw, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't have enough time to go back to that. This all revolves around a matter of liability, for the municipality. The parks and open spaces have basically been closed for the last several years. This is the first time we've had a bylaw, and we should have had a bylaw years ago, but we haven't. So we needed a bylaw. We put one in place. There's really no difference in the parks and open spaces. The washrooms will be locked and closed, as they always have been. The walkways and so on will not be maintained as they have been in the past. In the past, if someone was hurt and we had no bylaw, we had no signage, we still don't have any signage, but it's on its way. The municipality would be wide open for litigation. We haven't eliminated that, but we have, by passing this bylaw and by getting signage up, at least throwing up some defenses that if indeed there is litigation, we're going to have a better manner of defending ourselves if something like this happens. Folks, we don't own any handcuffs. We don't own any leg irons. Nobody is going to be taken out of our parks. We work, our bylaw enforcement officer, on a complaint policy, and that's a written complaint policy. So that will have to be forwarded before any action is taken by our bylaw people. That would likely mean that if somebody's throwing ice balls in the park on a Saturday afternoon, likely going to be Tuesday or Wednesday before the bylaw officer gets on it. By that time, that person's going to be long gone. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you for the question. I'm Steve Bartley. I did vote in favor of the bylaw. I also had a meeting this morning with the mayor and some of the staff about maybe revisiting the bylaw. Over and above what Harley said, I don't know if anybody in the room is aware, there was several issues in the parks last year. Some pretty awful issues that we couldn't deal with. We had no bylaw. We had nothing to go ahead and stop what was going on. Over and above whatever Harley says, we now have some teeth to put in place to stop what was going on in these parks. And it's no different than last year or the year before. They were closed. If you want to go sit in a park bench, feel free to sit in a park bench. Complaint driven, you're causing issues, both health-wise or profanity or anything. I'm not going to go into what went on. We have now a position to stop you. And again, we are going to relook at the bylaw and we don't want is out of the parks. We just want it safe for everybody. And so now we have teeth to make it safe for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So for once, Councillor Bartley there has beat me to my punchline. And that doesn't usually happen, but he did tonight. So it's a very weird situation here in October being an election year. Normally you'd be able to go back to council in the month of October and you would do things. So I'm going to be very careful on how I say this. November the 5th will be the next time that this current serving council reconvenes. I have spoken to the clerk. And folks, I'm going to leave you thinking about what I have suggested to our clerk. I said in my opening remarks that I listened to you and I entertained you. And folks, I have heard. And what this is that's so offensive is one word. The word close.
and as one of the very few members of this audience that's under 40, right? Do I just need to talk louder? Because I can do it without a mic, I promise you. I would like to address the issue of the out-of-town fee for sports in the city of Owen Sound. Up until this current year, we got 75% of it back, which means I paid an extra $15 on top of sports fees. However, now, per kid, per sport, per season, I pay $100. That adds up over a year. And I'm wondering, thank you for the correction, I appreciate that. And while it has maybe revitalized sports in Meaford, I know a few of my son's friends have gone to play hockey in Meaford, but only 2. So they're paying an extra $167. So I'm wondering, my question is, how will this be addressed in future years, and will there be rebates, or how it's going to go? Thank you.
So this issue is one of the reasons I decided to run. I looked into the reasoning behind why council made this decision, and from what I understood, they decided to take the money that they were giving back to every family who played sports in Owen Sound, that the minor sports that had the non-resident fee, and they decided to take half that money and give it to Golden Town Outreach to do a rebate-based application program for families in financial need, and the other half to the arena to reduce ice fee costs. So while I understand the reasons behind that they wanted to give more help to the families in financial need, when I asked what financial need means, what is that number, there wasn't an answer yet. So that was in September, after people already started registering for sports, so they wouldn't know if they qualified. And I believe it needs to be reinstated, because it doesn't make sense for families who work in Owen Sound, go to school in Owen Sound, to then play sports in Meaford because of that cost. For myself, we looked into soccer one year, and we'd have to go to Thornbury to play soccer when it wouldn't work. So when voted to council, I would bring this issue forward and ask that we look at it again and to reinstate the reimbursement.
In a nutshell, both these issues are the same. Council gives staff a directive. Staff goes away and develops a policy. The devil is always in the details. Our council is not asking or not reading the details. So we have policies that are being enacted which don't answer our requirements. And the sports is a big one, and so is the parks.
When I was a councillor in the term of 2010 to 2014, this was a subject that came up. I was on the, I forget what the committee's name was, but it was the committee about recreational services between the municipalities around Owen Sound and Owen Sound. And I was the only person on council who was fighting changing the whole system, because as Amy has said, our children go to school in Owen Sound. It would be better if our sports were in Owen Sound, simply because parents, they have to pick their kids up, take them to Meaford and bring them back. And it's just not, nobody was listening when I was trying to say this is not going to work. And so I'm not going to say I told you so, because that would be really petty, but I'm just going to say that I was trying really, really hard to explain this to people, and nobody was getting it. So I'll just pat myself on the back and leave that.
understand your frustration with that issue because we all want to have our kids active in the community, especially with their friends. So I think that this is definitely something that the council has to revisit. But I think another issue that's in there is the communication. From what I understand, there was no communication with the people that were participating in the sports, and it just happened. And I think that we have to have better communication in the council so that we can confer with the people that this is going to affect, so we can come up with some better solutions. From what I understand, some people have done some number crunching, and to continue having the kids participate in sports in Owen Sound, it was going to come to $25,000. So I think we can find somewhere in the budget where we can support our kids in sports. Thank you.
I'd just like you to hear from somebody that doesn't live in Western Meaford that fully supports what is going on in Western Meaford. I always have done that. I understand completely and have talked to any number of you over the years as to why you go to Owen Sound for the library, you go to Owen Sound for the school, you go to Owen Sound for services. In the period of time that I was on council, we did have that support for people that were, children were going over to Owen Sound. I wasn't aware that it had been taken away. I just want to let you know that if I get it back on council, I will certainly bring it up again to have it reinstated.
And the whole thing really is about fairness. Like, is it fair for the people in Sydenham to have to come all the way to Meaford? If you live in Annan and you're right at the Annan T there, is it right for you to have to turn left and come to Meaford? Or does it make more sense to go to Owen Sound? And obviously, to go to Owen Sound makes complete sense. So, we have to realize that this, although Meaford has a community center, that not everybody's going to go to it. And, if there was people from the former St. Vincent side going to Owen Sound, then it might be a little bit more questionable. But for people in Sydenham that live, just a stone's throw from Owen Sound, it makes sense for you to do your business in Owen Sound. So I think we just have to keep in mind that we have to make sure it's fair for everybody, just not the people that live closest to the town of Meaford. So.
Thank you. As a present councillor that did agree with this, my kids played sports in Owen Sound. I paid for them to play sports in Owen Sound. As an elected official, I was asked to look after your tax dollars. Now, it's not $25,000. It's well over $100,000 that Owen Sound handcuffs us. No matter who it is, sends me for the bill, and they pay the bill. So as a taxpayer, same as you and I, if you were a doctor or a lawyer or a millionaire, we still paid for your kids to go to sports. I thought that was unfair. We have money set aside, and yes, the communications were really bad. We dropped the ball on it. There's money set aside, and it's not assistance. If you want your kids to be subsidized, you fill out a form, you get the check, and it's subsidized. We thought this was a way of saving well over $100,000 through the program. You asked me to do that, that's what we did. If you still think it's unfair, come and see me after. We'll talk about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And just in case anybody's wondering, it wasn't Tony and Steve and my idea to get all three of us in that corner tonight. Anyway. Okay. One of the big issues that we discussed at council was that we had folks coming from, perhaps from this area, more of the southwestern end of our municipality, saying our kids, they go down to Chatsworth to play ball or whatever. We're not getting any subsidization. We had parents over in the Blue Mountains side telling us, hey, we've got our children going down to Thornbury playing hockey and soccer down there. We're not getting subsidized. why are only primarily Sydenham people getting subsidized? So we decided, well, we better take a look at this. And we did. And it seemed like the general opinion around the council table was that maybe we should just change the subsidy system we have and donate the money to community outreach, who would in turn donate to families according to their financial means and needs, so that a good number of children who before couldn't take part now can.
I'm a parent and I have kids who are involved in a number of sports, most not in Meaford because it's just expensive, so they go and have hockey in Rockland, and of course there's soccer in Thornbury. But I think that we should support any initiative that gets our kids into sports, and I don't think people should have to jump through hoops to go and use these facilities. And I wonder if this is something, if people are going to Chatsworth and if we are going to Blue Mountain, if maybe this is something where we have to start a county initiative where we have a larger scale rec agreement, because clearly this is what we are all doing. And I want kids out there. Right now, I'm not at home, and I know my one son is on Fortnite, and I'm tired of this sport. And I think if you can get them off of that and into the fields and running on the streets even, but get them out there. So yeah, we can find a way of making this work. Thanks.
My question is also more around Julie Davenport. And my question is again more around the youth and specifically the library agreement. This is something that comes up year after year after year. And just looking for some consistency to know that we're not going to lose the Owen Sound Library. It doesn't make sense for us to drive to Meaford, but with this new big fancy library that's coming, I'm scared that we're going to lose what we've got in Owen Sound.
Thank you, Mrs. Davenport. At the time that the Meaford board canceled the Owen Sound contract, I was on the Owen Sound Library board. I fought tooth and nail, and we won. We got the library services back again, and present council knows that from now on, there has to be library services for the Sydenham residents in Owen Sound. As long as I'm there, nothing will change. Thank you.
So I was part of the delegation that went to council last year to make sure that council looked at getting us our services at Owen Sound Library back. So if on council, I wouldn't let that go by again without making sure there was a lot of discussion. So I'm not saying I wouldn't let it happen because I'm not that powerful.
I've been on both the library boards, the Meaford Library Board and the Owen Sound Union Public Library Board. And this struggle has been going on, I think, ever since amalgamation has happened. I do have hope, and if I'm elected, I will make sure that the Owen Sound Library is available. I'd like it to be available to all of the municipality, and I understand that it is. My only concern is this. The number of members of a library are recorded, of course, and the provincial government gives a grant to the libraries involved. And is that it? Or so what happens is that we have to belong to the Meaford Public Library first, and then we can get a card with the Owen Sound North Grey Union Public Library. And so basically that means that the provincial government is paying twice for us each person who belongs to both. The province is paying twice, and I have a serious concern about that.
I just quickly wanted to say that we're a large municipality, and I think one of the issues that seems to be coming up again and again is the communication. So with the library issue, again, it was an issue where it was just cut off and the people didn't know. So I think that we really need to work at communicating and look at getting the website, my Meaford website, up and running better, and having more contact with people in the community so that we know what's going on and we can complain or bring up issues before it actually happens.
When the issue came up about losing your ability to go to the Old Sound Library, I said in the opening remarks that I meet with people, and there were a couple of us that were on council. We met with some folks, and we heard what you had to say. And as a longtime resident in Sydenham myself, that's the card I actually carry in my wallet. And when we first got a library report about the needs assessment, the first assessment that came back from an engineering firm was that we needed a library in Meaford that had 11,000 square feet to service 11,000 people. And I asked the question, what happens with the agreement we've got over in Old Sound? And so now the library that we have proposed is 7,000 serving that particular sector. And be it known, if you've got a card in your pocket that says you can go to Old Sound, you can go to Meaford, you get out stuff, go to Meaford, you go to Old Sound, you go to the library of your choice because people love libraries.
My name is John Morneau, and I live on Bayshore Road, just north of Lee. And first of all, I want to thank all the candidates that are up here tonight that are running for council, because you've made a great commitment to our municipality. Now, my question is very important to me, and it deals with the Inter-Township Fire Department. Being a retired firefighter all my life, I know how important fire service is, life safety is. So the question I have for each politician is yes or no. That's all I'm looking for. If there is a structural change or a level of service change with the Inter-Township Fire Department for the coverage area that they do in Sydenham, in your 4-year mandate, that the councilors of the day will call a public meeting to hear from the affected ratepayers their opinion of that specific change, if it does come about, yes or no? The people get a chance to express their opinion of any changes that happens with the Inter-Township Fire Department.
I'm a firm believer in public accountability, so yes, you have to.
We had a change in our roads and nobody called a public meeting. That's why I'm asking this important question.
Ross.
My answer is yes, and I am a member of the advisory committee advising the fire department.
I'm sorry, Ross, we're going to put you on the line. Let's go to
Just yes or no, Rob?
Yes. Robert?
That's a definite yes. I mean, again, just as a harkening back, communication has to be key and always has to be. So that's a yes.
Amy?
Absolutely yes.
Francis?
Absolutely yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just remember, folks, we own 25% of Inter-Township Fire Department, but we get 100% of the service all the time.
I think communications has improved in leaps and bounds in the past 4 years. The portal, I think, is great. The archiving, I think, is really great. The Facebook page. So really my question is, does anybody have any creative ideas that would help to increase the communications with the public? Because the park issue was out for 6 weeks and there were only 2 responses. So what's going wrong with communications? And do you have any other creative ideas, like Diane mentioned about the personal line?
Thanks, Lindy, for that. So I'm going to go old school on this. People who live in any particular area have something that happens to them. They wake up in the morning and they say, what the heck's going on? How come this is happening now? Nobody told me. Nobody knocked on my door. Nobody went and said, Municipality of Meaford, we're going to be doing something out in your area. Got any questions? Give us a call. We'll engage. That's all we need to do. Go old school.
So when I read about the parks and how they had a spot where you can make comments for 6 months or 3 months or whatever it was, I kind of had to chuckle to myself because my wife Karen, she was on the website there a week ago trying to find out what time the debate started in Woodford Hall. And she goes, what is wrong with this thing? There's no way you can maneuver through it. Every time I push a button, it wants me to take an online survey. And so I don't know what there is to do with communication, like with the website. I am not a web designer, I'm a farmer. I wouldn't know how to start creating a website, but it's something that needs to be improved because it's just too hard to go onto the website and try and find your way through. The next hardest thing is to try and phone somebody in Meaford, because then you start typing in their number and you get the 3 letters, and all of a sudden I was trying to get a hold of Rick Carefoot, and all of a sudden Brady Carver came up. And could I get out of that? It didn't seem like it. Again, I'm not very maybe technically savvy, but it is a problem, and I'm sure we all, the councillors know and staff knows, we just got to keep going. I had another point, but I can't remember what it was now, so anyway.
It's a very valid point. My basic philosophy is I came from a business background, and I think a municipality should be run like a business. If you have a good business, you normally have communication because that's the key to reaching your clientele, in this case your residents. So staffing is a big issue. It always has been about how much Meaford has, and that needs to be reviewed definitely. But my belief is there specifically should be somebody, not necessarily a communications officer, but I think there should be somebody that's definitely in charge of communication. Whether that becomes a mandate of part of their purview, then that's fine. But realistically, whether it's website, whether it's print, whether it's any kind of media, there should be definitely a relay to the constituents, because you're right. I mean, that is the biggest thing that people always complain about, being in the dark. So communication should be key, and that should be addressed in a very direct fashion.
I have 2 things on this. One is, yes, try and find out if the pool is open. My son would probably design this so you could find out, but we have yet to figure out whether the pool is open or not. But quite frankly, in terms of communication, I don't know why we have to communicate with our council to say we don't want our parks closed over the winter. The reason I am running is because I no longer trust people to make that decision for me. Prior to this, I did. I figured we put them in there, they represent our views, they know us. But they closed our parks. On the list is this parking lot to be closed from November 1st to April 30th. Now, I'm assuming come November 10th that will be plowed. But on paper, it's not. And I don't understand how that even got by staff and every council member. Why it got by that the St. Vincent Community Center is not going to be plowed all winter when we have nights games. So this is about more than communication. This is about who is being represented. And are they looking at the paper?
I think we have a communications problem. I think it's been evident for some time. But did you know that we have a communications coordinator full-time? We have a graphic design and marketing coordinator full-time. We have a seasonal communications student. Did you know we have 141 staff in Meaford? 67 full-time, 52 part-time, 22 seasonal, 6 people on plows, 7 contractors, a number of volunteer firemen, nobody knows for sure how many, and crossing guards, and also a heck of a lot of volunteers. Thank God for them.
Area I've spoke about before, and I agree with you, sir, that it was, I think, is a terrible mistake closing Grey Gables. There's a reason why, and I like to say Harley didn't vote that way. He voted to keep it as is. So I just that's correct. So I just want to make sure that we aren't trying to that we all know Harley's spot. So there's a reason why it was put in Markdale. If you look at Grey County, what is the center of Grey County? Markdale. It's not south of Durham. And if there's any way, I don't know whether it's gone too far. I've heard people say that it can be revoked. And I think one of the bigger issues is that this council needs to, on certain subjects, to give the two county council representatives some direction on which way they should vote. I don't think that you can tell them to do everything all the time, but on something this big, I really think the whole council could have given their opinion and gone from there. I hear the bells.
Thank you, sir, for your question, and thank you, Paul. I appreciate the verification there. I did vote against the sale of Grey Gables. It wasn't for lack of discussion or research at the county level that decision was made. Having said that, I'm not really sure just why it was made that way. If I remember correctly, the vote came up 3 different times at county council, and the vote was always 10-8 in favor of selling. That is the biggest split on county council that I can ever remember, certainly in the last 8 years. Now, it seems to me when you've got a county council that is divided to that degree, the red flag should go up. That maybe maybe there's something wrong here, something we're just not seeing, something that isn't clear. The argument was for saving some money and perhaps by closing Grey Gables and building a big monster new home in interim, a new Rockwood Terrace, maybe that would save some money. But this is a matter of family. It's a matter of emotion. It's a matter of community. Paul's absolutely right. Markdale is the center of Grey County. I talked earlier about Bognor being the heartland of this municipality. Markdale and the surrounding area, which includes Chatsworth, the Blue Mountains, and Meaford, hey, we're a big chunk of this county, and we're important. There's been a home there since 1903, and it's served hundreds and thousands of people. People expect there to be a refuge in Markdale. There should be in the future, and I really indeed hope that this question will come back to Grey County Council. The sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't know, council do not get an opportunity to vote on anything at Grey County. The mayor and the deputy mayor do that. So I'm not apprised to Grey Gables. I wasn't apprised to it, and I didn't know much about it, but I've been asked 100 questions since. And my study is on it right now because we don't have enough beds, we don't have enough homes. Why not have both? I would go down that route. Thank you.
That isn't the only crazy idea at Grey County Council at the moment. They also want to hire a company called Sienna to manage all of our county homes on a day-to-day basis. Any idea what that's going to add to the cost of long-term care in Grey County? And we're already spending about 30 cents of our tax dollar on the county. So we really need, for issues that are coming before County Council, to have some discussion around our council table so that our mayor and deputy can work together in the interests of Meaford ratepayers. Thank you. Can I just mention, by the way, that $13 million has been spent this year on enlarging the Grey County building and $7 million on the Owen Sound Council building, which was built in most of our time, you know. That's about, $20 million that I think is just a monument, it's supposed to be, I would say, call it a monument to the past. I don't know how they think it's going to serve us in the future, but it's a lot of taxpayer money.
My name is Linda Moore. I'm going to direct my question to Steve Bartley to begin with. It's regards to OPP. I've noticed decreased presence in town of OPP, while I'm noticing an increase in speeding and stop sign running and different things. So I know that we don't have an OPP contract. So my question is, why don't we have one? And how do our services differ between having an OPP contract and not having one?
Thank you for the question. Now, I'm being told by the Inspector Murray from the OPP, the new inspector for Grey Bruce now, that the difference between what Meaford has, Chatsworth has, and Georgian Bluffs has is zero. We don't have a contract. We have the 5.1. We took that to save money 4 years ago. Did we know that it may have caused some issues? But I am being told that we are not any different than the neighbor municipalities. I don't believe it. I've approached the inspector, and going forward, the 5.1 contract that we have will not be anymore. We are going to be the same as the rest, and I'm hoping to bring forward so we have better police presence. Where I live, I've got police presence because it's the road from Chatsworth to Meaford. They're by my house every day. You're not seeing them in Meaford. I want to see them there. Thank you.
The OPP issue is a good one. When I was in Ottawa at the AMO conference, I spent some time with the cops, but it was all good. And anyway, they pulled up the file about municipality Meaford, and the first thing the officers in Ottawa told me was that they could see that we have a very safe community. So the issue about having an enhanced program, the officers there told me that everything in the arsenal of the OPP is one call away. The inspector who comes to council tells us it's one call away, everything in their arsenal. What people want to see is more police presence. To do that, you have to enter into an agreement, and the first thing you have to have is a board, and then you have to define to the police force what you want to have specifically for an enhancement. And one of the things that they say is that you will get service 24 hours a day. That would be something in an agreement that you would have to write up. Now, we have to find out what the costs are to do that. But we live in a very safe community. There's 444 municipalities. The OPP patrol 323 of them. That's 78% of the province. And 58% of those that have no agreement just like us, we have OPP presence. All arsenal, all ours is per call.
Now, the one big difference, and Tony did mention it, is the services board. We don't have a board that advises the police what we need. And right now, the big thing I have found going from place to place is speeding, people drag racing on roads, people stunting. They've all noticed the same as we've noticed, that the police presence is not there. And they're taking advantage of it. And if we had a police services board, we could call somebody up, we'd have a meeting, have a vote, however it works, and say, please check out these roads. They're straight, they're fun, people are stunting, and that would go away. So that is the big difference between the contract and the non-contract.
One of the questions I have is why we don't have a community policing advisory committee. That's at our discretion. And I want to know from the standing council why in 4 years we didn't develop a community policy advisory committee so that we could have some input to our policing.
Thank you, Ross. Good question. I've proposed this question to staff. I think we should have an advisory committee. I've asked to be on it. So going forward, I'm sure we're going to have one. Thank you.
Within a half hour on our roads. So we're actually sometimes getting more than we're paying for it. But I understand the situation. Next question, please.
I'm Jim McPherson. I'm the candidate for mayor of the municipality of Meaford. I actually thought that I would not ask a question tonight, and I really think this is the council tonight. But I have to correct the record because I was on Rogers Television, present night. And she said, I did not vote to close Grey Gables. Harley Greenfield has indicated that he voted against closing Grey Gables. He also said that the vote was 10-8. For clarification purposes only, Harley, can you explain to me how Mayor Klumpus voted with regards to Grey Gables.
The vote at Grey County Council saw our mayor vote in favor of sale of Grey Gables. I hope that answers the question, but okay.
Is about a CAO. Currently, we don't have one. We've had one for the past 12 years. I haven't been impressed with how the municipality's been running. It's a yes or no answer for everybody up there. Would you consider operating without a CAO for a year or two and see how that works out?
Steve, maybe you could ask the question full-time or the acting like we have. An acting one is will cost you $156 a year.
Answers his phone and returns phone calls. That's where everybody is. Okay. Yes, you want to have a full-time CAO, or no, you would prefer to have a part-time CAO in the current condition for the next couple of years. We'll see how that works out. Thank you. So yes is full-time, no is the current situation. Steve? No, as is. No. No. Carter? No. No.
Right now, the CAO is an acting CAO, and they're looking at that for a period of time to see how that works. And at that time, they're going to look at the data and see if we're in need of a full-time CAO or not. So I think I'm ready to wait until the end of the trial period and look at the data and then decide.
has in place an acting CAO. And I believe that after a period of time, a decision is made. Personally, I believe that there has to be one paid person who is responsible to have things done. And I have been in all kinds of circumstances with the clerk treasurer and all those kinds of things, and it's important to have a person who's responsible. So I would say I would be in favor of having the present situation for the next 2 years. But I think we should be reviewing. And the way the question's asked, it's like almost impossible to answer without it. I think it should be reviewed. And so I guess it's no. Yeah. Whatever.
We've been running with a part-time acting CAO doing other jobs. We are burning people, excellent people out, trying to put too much on them. Just as a council needs a mayor, a company needs a president, a municipality needs one person to report to. If you try to do anything by committee, it does not get done. We're talking about communications. It will make communications impossible if we don't have one person to do that job. It's too important.
Hello, my name is Jayden Calvert, and I'm a resident of the town of Meaford. The question that I have is in regards to the youth in our community. And don't get me wrong, I think that all ages are important in our community, but I really think that we need to make an effort to support the youth in our community, especially those that are under the age of 18. They can't vote, but that doesn't mean that they can't be contributing members of our community and that they shouldn't be engaged in the development of our community. So I'm wondering if elected, and just as an aside, take a step back, our municipality was designated as a bronze youth-friendly community this past year, which I'm super proud of. Now, having said that, there are many things that we can be doing as a municipality, especially or specifically in regards to making our municipality more socially inclusive. That was one of the areas that we did not check off as part of criteria to get a higher standard. So my question is, if elected, what would you do to continue to support the youth in our community?
I agree that's extremely important. I think the best way to find out what the youth need is to ask them. So if we were to engage the student governments at the Meaford schools, but not to forget the Owen Sound schools as well, and to engage conversation between council and the student leaders to find out what the youth need and what kind of programs they're looking for, and to make sure we're supporting them and making use of partnerships with our county and other surrounding municipalities.
Something that came up at the public meeting at the golf course was simply the fact that one of the greatest things we have going in Meaford, and this is in a wide area, is the Meaford Coyotes, a running club for kids of all ages, and they've got super coaches and they're doing a great job, but it looks like the track could very easily be sold out from under them, and up to a certain point I think that our present mayor has aided and abetted that idea that they'd like to develop this green space as housing, and I think there's lots of places to develop housing in Meaford, and that this green space is especially important because it can be expanded to an 8-track paved running track. And that, first of all, isn't going to happen at the new high school because they will never have enough money left over for it. And secondly, even if they did, there isn't room for an 8-track facility at that site.
It's a good question, and I think it's multifaceted because there are a lot of different avenues that we could actually afford to help the youth in a lot of different categories. We talked about the library earlier. It's interesting to know that they received 61 class visits with 1,404 students participating last year. Those are the kind of programs that are really important. We also should be looking at our parks and green space, like the running club. We should be supporting all of that. We want to make this a tourism-based town. We want to make it something that attracts people, but we should start with our youth first to enjoy those amenities. Lastly, things like the various halls, Meaford halls, these halls, we need to make those affordable, and we need programs that work within them. The Meaford Hall actually attracts 55,000 people a year. That's a big number, and that's a lot of people coming to our town. But we also need to support in-town functions, and we need programming within those halls that can help our arts and culture, whether it's teaching, classrooms, participation, but let the kids have a chance to utilize those halls as much as the out of town.
I just wanted to say that the gentleman speaking was Jayden Calvert, and he served on council for the past 4 years, and he's going to be moving on. He's not running this time, so I just wanted to say that I live in Annan, so if there's issues that come up and the youth needs support, I think that Jayden's worked really hard these past 4 years, so I think I would get in touch with him. Thank you.
Saying this on behalf of the cyclists who love the municipality of Meaford. Unfortunately, you have some of the most attractive roads, people that come here and spend their money and ride their bikes, but you have some of the most dangerous roads. And someone, either a cyclist, a pedestrian, walking a dog, or a runner is going to get wiped because a high percentage of municipality and Meaford roads don't have shoulders, filled with potholes, and something's got to be done. It's tremendous potential for economic growth in the region, but you've got to invest some money to make it safe. I didn't ask a question because there's a group of cyclists that has already sent a survey around all the candidates, and the high percentage of the candidates have already responded favorably.
So thank you for raising that issue here. I am one of those councillors who responded favorably. My father is an avid cyclist, and even at 80 still cycles to the next town for groceries. My brother is very active in his cycling club and getting youth into cycling. And I cycle, but I have my vintage one speeds. But I am very aware that when we go from town to town, city to city, municipality to municipality, all along the roads are these bike lanes, and we don't have them. And the thing with these bike lanes is not only do they make your roads safer for cyclists, walkers, all these people, but they make your roads more enduring because you don't have the cutoff. Your road has a longer lifespan. So I think we should be really looking into not only paved shoulders, but I think we need cycling lanes because that's what everybody else has, and it's important for tourism and everyone.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for the question. And gee, Karen, I have a 3-speed bike, and it's a CCM too. For many years now, likely the current council has got tired of listening to me advocating that one particular road in our municipality has huge potential for the cyclist committee. Not only for our municipality, I'm thinking particular of the Blue Mountains, but I'm thinking particular of cycling in general in southern Ontario, and it's a very popular recreational pastime. That's Frogs Hollow, between the Blue Mountains town line and the third line of the former St. Vincent. This road, day in, day out, looks as if it's been bombed by heavy artillery. Our roads guys go out and they patch, and then they go out 2 weeks later and they patch again. This is, to me, a great gateway to economic development. If we could link this road to the cycling activity that is going on down in Blue Mountains, we need it rebuilt. We need it paved. I know I want bridges fixed too, but our roads are far behind. We need to address this situation. I don't think maybe we could afford to put a full-fledged bike lane, pardon me, 1.5 meters, but we could at least have a 0.5 meter paved shoulder on this road. It would be a great asset to the municipality. It's long overdue. Aside from cycling, it's a dangerous road. There's a heavy traffic count. Sooner or later, somebody's going to get seriously injured on that road or killed. We need that road fixed. And I'd be glad to get involved with the cyclist organization and try to move that project forward. Thank you.
I live on the Frogs Hollow side road, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. I know there's only so many dollars in the budget. I guess the problem I've had over the years, the last couple of years, is the order in which the roads are being fixed. I've questioned them about, why are we hard-topping the 7th line? It seemed like it was in pretty good shape. And they said, no, if we don't maintain it, the underlaying, it'll be gone. If you leave it an extra 4 years, it'll be destroyed. And it's like, really? Because this road here has been in, I can't remember when it was paved last. It has been paved for over 10 or 15 years. So there's only so many dollars to be spent. And I think we need to use common sense. Why do we make our worst roads go the longest before they get repaired, while we have roads that are in very good shape, in my opinion, that get re-hard-topped right away? It just doesn't make sense. And I think we're lacking a little bit of common sense, and I think things could be done differently that would make it more fair. And I'm using fair a lot, and it's on purpose, because that is the main thing. We're all in this together. We all have to accept that the money has to be spread around to everybody.
My name is Victoria Ye. I have a question for all candidates. I'd like to know whether you support or oppose funding the inclusion of Meaford in a regional public transportation strategy. So including a public transportation strategy that would connect Meaford between Owen Sound, Thornbury, Blue Mountains, and Collingwood.
is something that's going to get me into trouble with my friends at the Chamber, because they, I know, do not like the idea of public transit taking people out of Meaford. But I don't think that Meaford needs to hold people hostage to grow our businesses. I think we're in an amazing, beautiful area, and we have to start looking at ways of bringing more people in. And I think that having a bus that goes from place to place and municipality to municipality is a marvelous way of doing it, because I think we have a lot to offer, and I think that bringing more people in means we can offer it to them. So I'm very much in support of that.
I can't tell you how many times this week I have been accosted already by people who are bitterly complaining about the bus service in Meaford. It's like a merry-go-round. It just goes around and around, and there's nobody on it, and it doesn't even stop at the grocery store or anything. It just goes around and around. And that money is coming from our gas tax credit. But surely we'd be far better off to give that money to the county, and definitely we need to get connected to Blue Mountains and to Owen Sound. I was appalled by the decision. Really, the reason we don't have a bus to Owen Sound is because of the Chamber of Commerce, and I want to get on. I'm a member of the Chamber now, and I want to be a liaison for council, because that attitude has to change. It's archaic. People need to get to the hospital, they need to get to Georgian College, they need to get to the mall too.
I really just don't know the facts.
I would say yes to Karen. It's important that we try and increase tourism as much as possible. And yes, there is that inherent danger of actually pushing people a little bit towards Blue Mountain, but we need to do everything in our power to try and bring people back this way and show them exactly what Meaford has to offer.
I'm pretty passionate about this topic, so I came prepared for this question because I thought it might come up. I firmly believe that Meaford made a mistake in turning down the offer by neighboring communities to establish a pilot transit system between towns. Public transit is very much needed in this area, and when elected to council, I will ask for this to be looked at again. There are many ideas out there that don't involve driving empty buses around and around all day. We owe it to our residents to look at this seriously. A couple days ago, there was a story on CBC of a new app that Belleville has designed specifically for that reason, to avoid the empty buses going around needlessly, where people can communicate with the transit system to order a bus. Because when people need to get to work, when people need to get to specialists, when people need to get to other appointments, they have to find a ride. So why not have a centralized transit system for people to be able to do that for themselves? Other agencies in Grey and Bruce fill in the gap, so it looks like we don't need transit, but we do. And I work at one of those agencies where I do home visits around Meaford, all in the neighboring municipality. And we do that because people can't get to us.
I absolutely agree that we need a regional transportation system. Transportation is almost as important as communication in any community that we've got. So yes, I am fully in favor of that. But I will tell Ross that regardless of how few people are on our local system, it does stop at the food stores.
I fully agree with you. I come from Toronto, and I'm not saying that, Bognor needs a subway station right yet, but once I'm elected, I'm sure there will be one. But don't tell anybody yet, okay? But seriously, I've been advocating this for a long time, because I've been around a long time, I guess. And I'm mouthy. But my other comment is that I've always believed that it should be outside of Meaford, and I was shut down because of the Chamber of Commerce. They didn't want that, and so got shut down. Another comment I would like to make, though, is that the county has started a system by which there's a bus going from I want to say Owen Sound, but I'm not sure, down to Shelburne, and apparently it's really successful. So I am very much in favor of transit.
I don't know a lot about the transit issue, but from what I do understand, I believe a lot of this is a county issue. I mean, it would be great to have a lot more public transportation here, but I believe it's a county issue.
There was a presentation that was made to council, and it was about disconnecting people, and it was a Grey County level initiative. And I asked the evening in council, if it's going to be from Grey County, that's going to come out of Bogne Sound to connect people, is it going to stop at Leith and swing down through Woodford and pick up people in Bognor? And the answer was no. Direct from Bogne Sound to Meaford. Grey County is going to foot the bill, okay, upper level. No.
I have supported the Meaford bus system thus far, but it needs to be revisited. We have other services available. There's home and community support services bus. The county has buses. Blue Mountains has buses. What we need to do is sit down and is there duplication there? I think there is. We need to have one bigger regional bus system. There is a need, maybe not from a lot of people, but there are some people who just have no other means of transportation. So we can't brush them aside. It is important, but definitely the Meaford bus system. Yeah, we gotta take another look at that. Thank you for your question.
The Meaford bus system, I voted against. I just figured nobody'd use it, and guess what? Nobody's using it. It was round empty. We're going to revisit it. The county should do a regional bus service. I agree with that. But like Tony said, are you going to go to Woodford? You're going to go to the small towns? No. So the municipality of Meaford should not be paying for this regional bus service. It should come from county or higher levels. Thank you.
So tonight, I'm Deborah Thompson. Tonight I've heard a lot of people say, come to me and I will listen to you. So once I've come to you and you've listened to me, I'd like to know what you're going to do next. And it can be any of the issues that have been brought up tonight. And the only thing I would rather not listen to is roads and bridges, because we're all pretty clear on what's happening with those. The question is, now that you've listened to us and you are on council, what are you going to do so we know we've been heard?
I would bring the issue to council and I would explain what was communicated to me, and then I would follow up with you personally.
Okay, so you come to me and you say to me, I got a problem that's out here, and I come and see it, and I go out and I see it, and I say, yep, I get exactly what you're telling me about, and I want to tell you that my first response is to go back to the senior department head, have a meeting with that department head, tell him or her exactly what you have told me, and then I get back to you with what's been told, because I will go and ask on your behalf.
As short an answer as possible. Each candidate, if you are elected to council for the next 4-year term, name one priority you'd like to achieve in that 4-year period on council.
One priority that we've got, infrastructure.
absolutely necessary. But I guess I'd be tempted to say communications, because that is so important to absolutely everything.
I have many priorities, but one thing I keep hearing over and over again is a lot of people are uncomfortable voting online and voting on the phone. And did you know that Dominion Voting Systems, which was touted to me as a Canadian company when I participated in the accuracy testing on the 26th of September, back in July, was sold to Staple Street Capital, which is an American private mid-level equity firm. They're running our election. There are so many reasons why it's so valuable to have to go out and vote, because your kids see it and your seniors see it and everybody sees you're going out to vote, and it's important, and people start to talk about all the reasons why we have to exercise democracy. So in 4 years, I'd like to see us come back with a paper ballot.
So I, of course, have been saying I am running to bring heart back to council, and what I would really like to see is all the public advisory committees back, and I would like to see them filled with happy, listened to people and communicating to council that is taking them into consideration in everything that they do.
Like Francis said, communication is obviously a big thing. I also think there needs to be respect from the citizens to the council table, back to the council, or to the citizens. Sorry, and also staff. Staff have to realize that they have to be respectful of the needs of the community. And too many times I've heard in the last month or so how maybe staff hasn't always been as respectful as what they maybe could. And fairness, I will go back to the fairness thing. We're all in this together. It's like a cooperative. We're all in it. We all should be treated equally. There shouldn't be winners and losers in a community. There should all be the same.
Support small business. To me, that's everything. We would all love to see that one big industry or two big industries would come into a small community. That's almost impossible to get nowadays. It's very difficult. What we need to accomplish are a number of small businesses, 5, 10, 15 employees, because everybody's concerned about our taxes, and the only way we can help reduce our residential tax base is by supporting our business tax base. So we need to get more businesses coming to Meaford.
That I'd like to bring forward that I know are going to take a lot of time, but the first thing that I would like to bring forward, which I think could be cleared up in relatively short order, is the non-resident fee for sports.
I've got quite a few goals in mind, but I think the first thing that I would say is I would like to bring some stability to some of the things that are happening. For example, when I was on council, we had a fire master plan that was done, and now we have another one. And it seems that there are agreements with other people, even though they should be reviewed. There seems to be a lot of there doesn't seem to be a reaching out to the other communities. In order to make our lives better. I think that we could be sharing a great deal. Like was pointed out, we own 25% of the Inter-Township Fire Department, but we can use 100% of their equipment. And I think that goes with roads and everything. I think that if we started listening to and talking, negotiating with other people, we'd be able to get some cost-effective solutions to our challenges.
I think I'd want to get back to basics and make sure that our infrastructure is in good order again, good working order for everybody.
water systems and our treatment plant can handle that growth. And we also have heard this evening, agricultural sector is on the rise, and we are at some exciting times ahead of us in the next 4 years. We are going to be expanding our tax base.
I'm going to be consistent. I'm a roads and bridges guy, and likely always will be. Doesn't matter if you've got 20 people living on a road or 220 or 520. That road is your artery to the outside world, whether it's your job, your school, visit your family. That road's important to you, and we have got to sit down as a new council, if indeed I am on a new council, and take a look at our roads policy right now. We've had it in place for 2 or 3 years. I'm not convinced it's working well. We may have to make some changes. I'd like to make some changes, and that's my main priority. Thank you.
Thank you. My main priority is everything that we talked about tonight, doing it at a minimal tax increase. You're not going to get zero. Zero doesn't work. But as small a tax increase as we can give to do everything we got to do, and it's a pile of stuff. So it's got to be a minimum tax increase. Thank you.
Took it all in. I appreciate the respect you give the speakers. Thank you very, very much. Now, we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to wrap up and give their final words, and we're going to start from the inside out this time. We're going to start with Amy and Francis, and then on up the line. So 2 minutes each. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure meeting with you tonight, and I really appreciate it.